With the advent of the mobile phone in the 1980s, came the need to build a network of antennas to support them. Since then, the telecom companies have erected over 5 million mobile phone masts around the world. But incredibly, prior to filling the air with microwave frequencies, they didn't conduct a single piece of research to ensure there wouldn't be any long-term health effects from such exposure. The grid was built without first making sure it was safe.
Thank you for your help.
So
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
yeah, and it's constant as well. One thing you'll notice is it doesn't stop. It's 24/7. This is what's coming out of the mast. If you can see the mast, you're being exposed to it.
Right.
Frankly, even if you can't, you're being exposed to it if you're this distance away, because it'll pass through, you know, concrete walls and things. It'll dampen it a bit, but not very much. If you're within 200-300 metres of the mast up there, this is what you're going to be exposed to 24/7.
When you can hear it, it changes everything.
It does.
Imagine if you could see it.
It'd be the equivalent of sort of, you know, seeing a daily smog.
Yeah. With a constant smog of man-made frequencies surrounding our daily lives, and no testing as to its safety, is there any wonder people's bodies have started to react?
Well, it was almost 10 years ago, and I was in my 30s. No history of breast cancer in my family, and living a really healthy lifestyle. I'd been living next to a foam mast for many years, over 7 years by then.
How far was that from?
It was 100 metres from the house.
Right, so pretty close.
Yeah, and for years I'd been having symptoms which hadn't related to the foam mast, because I didn't know anything about, you know, the condition of electrosensitivity then. And I'd been having vertigo, sleep problems, headaches, sharp pains in my head. And I'd often visit the doctor only to be told it was either stress or a virus. And then just out of the blue, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was the biggest shock of my life. And at first I thought, well, it's bad luck, you know, it's just unlucky, it's me. And started to go through my treatment. And it was then I started bumping into neighbours in the hospital. And I only lived in a small village.
Right.
And started bumping into other young ladies as well, who were neighbours.
Young?
Who,
how old?
oh, well, I was the youngest in my 30s, but the
Right.
others were in their 40s or early 50s.
Right, that's very young.
And that was 5 of us all diagnosed at once, within 6 months of each other, with breast cancer.
There were only 18 houses in the village surrounding the foam mast, so Eileen decided to conduct a survey to see if anybody else had suddenly started suffering ill health.
What came back really frightened us. Lots of people were reporting the same symptoms that I've been suffering with for years.
So vertigo.
Yeah, the headaches, the vertigo. But there was other young women in the village who were having fertility problems and pre-cancer cervical cells. Other young ladies who'd had breast cancer benign lumps, and there were other conditions of cancer as well in the area. One of our neighbours, who was only 51, had developed motor neurone disease, and he unfortunately died. And so we unearthed a horrendous can of worms. We'd done a count of 77 people in the houses.
And out of 77 people, how many people
were
suffering biological effects?
The estimate was around 70%. People
70% of people
who'd had effects over the years with biological effects, sleep problems, skin rashes, benign lumps or cancer. Yeah, it was it had a big impact on people in the village. I think this is a global, massive problem. We found since then that we were not the only cancer cluster around a foam mast. There are many cancer clusters around foam masts. And we'd worked with a local scientist where we looked at other foam masts that have been in areas for a long time and conducted other surveys and found other cancer clusters as well.
With so many phones and masts, and a mobile phone industry worth trillions, you would hope that by now a strict governing body would have been installed, an iron-fisted regulator who ensures the telecoms industry errs on the side of caution, someone to set strict levels which protect the public, someone to ensure that what we're being exposed to is absolutely safe. Unfortunately, we don't have any of that.
My name's Kevin Modis. I'm with the California Brain Tumor Association, but actually collaborate with 10 other groups. One of the groups is emfscientist.org, emfscientist.org. That's 220 doctors and scientists from 39 countries who have looked at health effects from wireless radiation. And from their work and the work of others, we can clearly say that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, immune system disorders, and reproductive harm. Clearly, our scientists, along with the other groups I work with, which are composed of people who are developing wireless health effects from their various sources. For instance, people developing brain tumors from their cell phone and the radiation emits, people developing neurological symptoms from the Wi-Fi, from school Wi-Fi, people developing neurological and cancerous health effects from simple smart meters being little wireless meters that are put on people's homes so that people don't have to come by and read the meter themselves manually. So regardless of the source, and cell towers are the most powerful source of wireless radiation emissions, regardless of the source, the health effects can be the same. So what brings me here today is the rollout of 5G technology. And people need to understand that 5G technology is very different from 2G, 3G, and 4G that preceded it. And that is because the wireless radiation is using a higher frequency. Our current wireless technology uses about 1 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz. This new 5G technology is ultra high frequency, ultra high intensity, and it's 24 gigahertz to 90 gigahertz. To put this in some type of perspective, 90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second hitting your body. We know people are already getting sick from the lower frequencies, and we expect, that is our scientists expect, that these higher, ultra high frequency microwaves are going to bring people to disease quicker and in a more intense form.
Telekom Srbija predstavila je mogućnosti 5G tehnologije, a ministar turizma, trgovine i telekomunikacija Rasim Ljajić najavio je da je plan države da do 2020. godine uvede 5G mrežu u velikim gradovima i na autoputevima.
The other problem with 5G technology is these microwaves are very short. So our old microwaves were about 2.5 to 3 feet long. These are now about 1 inch to half an inch long, and they don't travel very well. So they're going to have to put a little cell tower transmitter in front of about every 2 to 10 homes. Now this is a big problem because we know that cancer rates around regular cell towers are about 3 or 4 times what they normally should be. We also know that there's neurological symptoms that increase as you get closer and closer to a cell tower. Now these new transmitters are going to be placed close to people's homes. It's going to be continuous exposure as with other cell towers, but it'll be emitting a much more higher frequency, high intensity wireless radiation.
Ladies and gentlemen, not only are these 5G death towers going to double cancer rates in our country, they are going to be used to target individuals in a way never seen before. Since most people keep their smartphones on them like a tracking device, and since their political profiles are linked to their phones, it only makes sense that this is going to be an easy way to target people silently and without a trace. As you can see with these new 5G death towers, they are going to be focusing beams of high-frequency energy at a user's location. These 5G death towers are in fact particle beam weapons that can be aimed at people. These particle beams move at the speed of light and track you wherever you go. And in most cases, you'll be hit with particle beams coming from multiple directions. This truly is a national emergency, considering who controls this technology.
Su polja primjene mreže 5. generacije koja će doprinijeti kvalitetnijem životu građana. Tokom prezentacije 5G tehnologije u Beogradu, između ostalih, pomenuta je primjena u medicini, automobilskoj industriji, poljoprivredi, uslugama komunikacije i svakodnevnom životu. Ova tehnologija će omogućiti mnogo novih servisa i usluga koje će olakšati život građanima, rekao je ministar trgovine, turizma i telekomunikacija Rasim Ljajić, istakavši da su mogućnosti primjene ove tehnologije u industriji i privredi neograničene u smislu automatizacije u proizvodnji, te da će ona omogućiti otvaranje novih radnih mjesta.
I neko bi pomislio da će to prouzrokovati smanjenje broja radnih mjesta zbog automatizacije proizvodnje, međutim, predviđanja stoje sasvim drugačije. I da će ova vrsta automatizacije, ova vrsta tehnologije omogućiti i generisati 2 miliona novih radnih mjesta samo u Evropi, 22 miliona novih radnih mjesta u čitavom svetu i da će to doneti prihod, čisti prihod u 28 zemalja članica Europske unije do 2025. godine od 113 milijardi evra. Ono što je neophodno da mi uradimo i naš plan jeste da od 2020. godine uvedemo 5G mrežu, najpre pored autoputeva i do velikih gradova, na isti način kako smo razvijali i mobilne mreže prethodnih generacija, dakle prvo veliki gradovi, autoput, a onda do svih ostalih mjesta u Srbiji sukcesivno.